Jerusha is here, and Star Bright is here. And thank you guys for joining. And I'm so excited. I think I realized that this was such a huge topic when I did like an overview of all of the digital integration that has been going on. So let's first of all get started. My name is Amelie, and I run the Soulestic Intelligence podcast. My business, Soulestic Intelligence, is about teaching emotional and energetic intelligence. And I also like to incorporate a lot of spiritual awareness into my streams as well. This series is called The Digital Age, and I finally made a little thumbnail for it. So it's The Digital Age, a human investigation, or a series investigation into humans and technology. So we're looking at the merging of these two things together. And if you've been catching the streams, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you to do that. And if you have not been catching the streams, then I encourage you, if you're interested in, some of the impact of how the digital technology age has kind of crept into our lives and is now just in full force, please go ahead and watch the past streams. They should all have some topics. I think the first one's just kind of an introduction into what is the digital age, what am I considering, just kind of laying the groundwork there. And then the second one is some history. So the second and third are history. And then the last one I did was kind of looking at all of the, I think the apps. So today is going to be the dating world. So dating apps, right? We've been using them. What would I consider digital dating? It's anything from eHarmony, or what's the match? OK Cupid, Tinder, anything like that. Like that is what we're going to be talking about. Hello. I don't know what to call you, but hi. Thank you so much for joining. So this is a pretty juicy one. Like, who hasn't? If you are single and you are a millennial or maybe even a Gen Xer, you've been on a dating app. Chances are. Would you rather watch a tree grow or a Negro? Obama or Trump? Neither. I would rather watch a tree grow. I like trees. I like hugging them. Okay, so dating apps though, right? I have a friend, and I love watching him talk about his interactions on dating apps. And when I was talking about all the different functions that apps have in our life, all the digital stuff. So anything the internet integrated is all included in this digital age. And dating is not one of the lacks here. So we're going to look at some positive aspects of digital dating, meaning dating apps or online dating. And then we're going to look at some negative aspects of it as well. We're going to talk about ghosting and why that's even a term, why women ghost men or men ghost women. And we're going to talk about how we can use it to our advantage if we are single and we're looking for love or serious relationships. How can we use this? And we're also going to look at what are the success rates, what are the failure rates. Let's get real about it. So let's first start with what I would consider a dating app. I just want to set the stage. So anything that you do online, I would consider digital. That is the first real rollout we had of anything digital. So when the internet was introduced, I don't know if AOL was the first one, but that's, AOL chat rooms, AOL email, AOL search engines, anything like that. That is what I would consider the start of the digital age. A lot of this started before the Zoomers were even born. So, this is probably, I would say 94, 95 is really when it got started. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys. Storm, you're funny. Trying to get me to say slurs online, sir. But yeah, let's look at the top five right now. The top five, and maybe you guys have ones that you like, but let's just talk about these ones for right now. So, as of 2025, the top five dating apps are Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, OkCupid, and eHarmony. And so we'll dive deeper into that in a little bit. But those are the top five most popular apps right now that are out there for dating and online dating. I'm trying to think. There used to be one called Match something. I can't remember it, but maybe it'll come to me. Okay, so we're looking at the digital end of this. So, what are the positives of dating apps? Well, what was dating before then? So, dating before the internet was really meeting somebody in a social network that you are normally in. So, it could be somebody that you're introduced into from a social arrangements. It could be somebody a from school, from work, just places that you would actually meet people. To a lower degree or lesser degree, maybe you have a hobby and that's how you meet somebody. Maybe you met somebody in the grocery store, just anywhere that you would actually be forming a group together and socializing. So, the analog social scene was kind of a big thing. And, normally you're hanging out with your peers or people that are in your friend groups, or maybe friends that you are introduced to, or maybe you're hanging out at a lake or whatever. Like, there's just all kinds of unique ways that people met with one another, and typically these would be pretty close in proximity to wherever your living arrangement was. So if you lived in a small town, chances are the dating pool was pretty small, and unless some debonair handsome man came into town and like swept you off your feet, you're likely choosing to be in a situation with a small dating pool. Other things are maybe you meet them at church or whatever your social functions are. Maybe if you were like into horses and you're going to competitions, you might meet somebody in a competition. If you lived on a farm, you might have a farmhand come and visit your farm. Hi, Larissa. I can see your wig glue, miss. Oh, my wig glue. That's funny. This is my real hair, but I do have wigs, so I'm not against it. All right. So that's kind of the main social situation that you're dealing with before the dating apps. So, and the dating apps didn't really get super popular until probably after MySpace, when Facebook was rolling out. So this is like in late 2000s, late aughts. So, what are the positive aspects of dating apps? So, one, we were talking about that proximity. So, the dating apps opened your world to the possibility of a lot more volume and a lot more variety. So, in a dating app, you're exposed to more people than you would likely ever meet in a week or a day or anything like that. You're open to more volume and variety than, say, going to your grandmother's and spending a summer in a different town or going to college or whatever it is. So it's a positive and it kind of is a negative. It almost gives you, it's like you have all this option, all these options, all this different variety of people, but how do you connect with them? It's not always a good thing. Sometimes I remember a story of somebody saying, they lived out of the United States for a majority of their life, and then they came to America and they went into a grocery store and they were just so overwhelmed with all of the options, all of the choices that they had. Instead of just having one choice, they had a choice of everything. It was pretty significant, what when they're explaining, like, I had so many options, it was so overwhelming, and so that can be a negative. But first of all, we've got volume and variety. The second is you have access to specific preferences. So if you want somebody who likes a certain hobby, is a certain height, has a certain body build, is wants kids, doesn't want kids, you can put those all into a filter and you can filter down and add your specific preferences into your dating app. So now, the physical attributes or maybe the hobby attributes that you want to be partnered with are available to you. And so it takes that volume and it breaks it down into something that is a lot more interesting to you. Next is you have low stakes exploration. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you are like going to flirt or you're going to interact with them, because ghosting is still kind of a big thing. And like I said, we have the overwhelm of all of this choice, all of these people at your fingertips, but you've got low stakes exploration. So when you get to flirt, you get to practice your boundaries, and you get to explore desire from your couch, from the comfort of your own home. You can go out and locate these people. And then the other positive aspect of dating apps is that if you have different gender specific desires, you can find people that match those gender specific desires. So for people who can't find the representation or acceptance in their hometown, they can, in their local area, they can go online and match with somebody who matches their specific sexual preferences. So next we have the negatives of dating apps. And the negatives, like I was mentioning, is you have all of this choice. So you have so many options, and so nobody is special. Nobody really can pique your interest like being in an in-person being in an in-person situation, and getting to truly feel their vibe, feel their energy. And the other thing that happens when you have so much choice and you have so much overwhelm, and maybe you're trying to spark a conversation with somebody, spark an interest, some people might feel paralyzed, or they might become flaky. Like I said, you've got ghosting that happens. And then some people might even be hypercritical. Oh, they have kids, and so I'm not going to talk to them. Oh, they have this, so I'm not going to talk to them. Oh, they have this, and I'm not interested in that. So where you're swiping left or right, that's it's like this buffet of people, and everyone wants the best slice, but nobody's going. Everybody wants a relationship. They go on. They either want a serious relationship, they want a casual relationship, and you can definitely, you know, specify your preferences in that. But when you're on there for a serious relationship and the other person's on there for a serious relationship, there's kind of a hard time like connecting with those people. If you guys are grossed out, there's so much more on the internet that you can go watch. Love it. The next one we're going to talk about, like I mentioned, is ghosting and burnout. So the digital layer, there's little empathy when you're in these situations. So if you go online, you're not having true access to maybe the vibration or frequency that that other person has. And so maybe their profile piques your interest, but then you're trying to have a conversation and you're like, you kind of get this ick, and then you don't want to talk to them. So we treat people like profiles and not souls. So, the other person on the other side of that interaction of where you're trying to get to know somebody else, those people are more like a profile. They're not an actual soul. They're not anybody that you're connecting with. And then this is how ghosting becomes reflex. And it's not a red flag, it's just a reflex of I've got so many different people contacting me and I don't know, I'm kind of overwhelmed on who I should even talk to, and so I'm going to go on there and just leave. The other negative about these dating apps is the addiction loop. So you have the addiction loop where the dopamine that comes from, your animal brain, your medulla area of your brain back here, every time that you get a match, you get this dopamine hit. So the dopamine hit is like swipe, match, swipe, match. And so your brain is like addicted to that dopamine. And you can end up chasing this external validation of matches as a dopamine hit instead of establishing real connections. So that is one of the other pieces of the negatives of dating apps. So, the last piece that I want to discuss is misaligned intentions. So, some people are there to date. Some people might be there to feel boredom. People may be fresh out of a relationship and they're seeking external validation of, am I beautiful? Am I handsome? Do women like me? Do men like me? Their intentions are not in alignment with I want a serious relationship. Maybe they're out of a relationship because they have some things to work on. And like there's some character flaws in them that need some attention. And so they'll come on to the dating apps and they'll, put the profile together, and then, they'll get tons of hits, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, I validated myself. I'm good." And then some people are just on there for casual encounters where like a lot of people are on there for serious relationships. So I think the misalignment comes of not knowing what your why is in the dating apparatus of digital dating. And so you can easily get sucked into somebody else's chaos, especially if that person is it there for, the wrong intentions. Maybe they're there for some validation. Maybe they're there to just have casual dates. Maybe they're there for filling out boredom or something like that. Whatever their reason is, you can get sucked into somebody else's chaos and be eternally like stuck in that loop. So breaking out of that loop is good unless that's what you're there for, but it is a negative side of dating apps. Okay, so why do people ghost? So women ghost men. Here's four different ideas. Pardon me. Okay. Um, so women ghost men because of one, safety concerns. Maybe he got pushy. Maybe he got love bomby. Or maybe he just was a little bit creepy. Whatever the reason is, like there was some red flag that went off. And so she's just like, I'm not talking to him, and either ghosts him or whatever, but the safety concern is going to be like number one. And then second is she may have ghosted him because she's just disinterested. There's no chemistry, or maybe even saying like I'm not feeling it is going to come across as awkward, especially if she has low boundaries. If she has low boundaries and can't say, you know, you're great, but I just don't feel like this is a match. Instead of saying that and being very in line and in tune with who she is and how she feels, she just vanishes because of that disinterest. Next one, we kind of spoke about it a little bit, but overwhelmed. So being overwhelmed from too many conversations, too much emotional fatigue, interacting with the men on these apps can be overwhelming for a woman, especially if she's like newly out of a relationship, or maybe it's her first time on a dating app, or maybe she's been on dating apps for a long time. Whatever the case, overwhelm can be one of the reasons why a woman would ghost a man. And then lastly, we kind of talked about it a little bit with the disinterest, but that avoiding confrontation. Maybe she does not want to have that conversation of confrontation. So women can easily be socialized to, they can easily be socialized to not say things to men because she doesn't want to, she's like maybe afraid of retribution, or maybe afraid of getting guilt tripped into doing something that she doesn't want to do. Again, that is low personal power, low boundaries. If she's not able to say, look, I'm just not interested in you in the way that you're looking for, good luck to you. But I'm going to move on to another, you know, until my next person. If she's not able to have a proper confrontation, then she's likely to ghost somebody. Okay. Now, men can also ghost women. Now, why would a man ghost a woman? Maybe he's on the dating app as a casual, as a casual user. He was not serious about it, and so maybe if he is trying to hook up with somebody because he's looking for something casual, and maybe he doesn't feel like the whole relationship was real in the first place. So just having this casual, like, oh, I just want to find women to hook up with. And so it was casual from the beginning, and he was never serious. And so if she is coming at it from a serious position, then then he would likely just like, oh, well, she's not important to me anyways, so I'm just not going to talk to her. Low emotional intelligence comes in. So, again, like women would do to men, men also will do to women. And this is where those, the avoidance of having the difficult conversations of, I really, I think that you're great, but you're just not a good match for me. Or I don't think that I'm feeling anything from, our discussions. I'm going to move on. Not being able to have those conversations is showing this immature emotional avoidance. So not being able to stand up and say, and honestly, if a guy is going to be ghosting you in the DMs like this, then you don't want to be connected with that. And the same thing goes for women. Like if you're going to be having situations where you can't have these difficult conversations, there's deeper things to look into as far as your personal power is concerned, because you should be able to have these difficult conversations in a relationship, especially if you're seeking a serious one. You should be ready to have difficult conversations so that when you are with your partner, you and your partner will be able to have, some really solid discussions and be able to overcome some hard things when the relationship starts getting more serious and hard things come up, and you have to figure out how you're going to navigate through those. Men ghost women because they're busy or they're disinterested. So the attention is like a situational thing. Work got busy, he got bored, he found someone else. But, in all honesty, if a man really is wanting to go after something and he really likes you, he's going to make time for you. You are going to be in his thoughts. You're going to be in his, like, I want to spend time with her. And so you have to be really honest about that. Like, you don't want to be with somebody that's way too busy or not interested in you. Find the men that are, and make relationships with those men. Work does get busy and people can get bored, but they won't forget about you if you're for them. Okay? So ghosting is part of that. And then the last one, this could be for both, but unresolved trauma. So if you can't handle intimacy and you can't handle rejection, you might just ghost because you don't want to face your fears of intimacy or your fears of rejection. You just don't want to face those things, or maybe even abandonment. Whatever the fear is that's going to trigger you to leave a DM unread or left on read, there's some unresolved trauma there. So look at so both genders ghost because of emotional immaturity or fear or lack of digital etiquette. And really, like, not a lot of people are keen on what proper digital etiquette is. And so it's always going to be about them. Now, I did a stream earlier today on the divine vortex, which means the king and queen within your own temple is the energy that you are going to broadcast, and that is going to come back to you. So if you're on these dating apps, I'm not currently, but if you're on these dating apps and some of these things are ringing true for you, then it's time to look at, what kind of unresolved trauma do I have? Are there some prior connections that I have with other people I've loved and that rejected me, but maybe I'm still holding on to? That's always the thing. And if you, like I said, had fears or maybe some immaturities that you have not addressed and it needs to have some attention, it when you get ghosted, it's not personal and it's not you, it's that other party. It's the ghosting party that has some of issues. So unless they're out there saying, hey, look, it's been really great to know you, but I just am not feeling a connection, or I'm not interested in pursuing this any further, thank you for your time. That's one thing. That's digital etiquette. That's being kind and saying, not leaving things open ended. So, yeah. All right. So that's the ghosting part. The next part I wanted to talk about is the success rates in digital dating. So, success rates are actually, when I thought about what are the success rates at digital dating with all the information that I've been fed in the last, I don't know, few months. I'm thinking like it's probably like 40% or I don't know what. Hi, Drusha. I don't know like what percentage would be proper, but when I ran the numbers, it depends on the platform. So each platform of the five ones that I spoke about earlier today, they all have different intents. So eHarmony, Bumble and Hinge, and Tinder, they all have this serious relationship element to them. So eHarmony it actually has a 70% success in marriages. Jessica said, I had 4 dates with a guy from Plenty of Fish. Yes, Plenty of Fish. I think that was one of the first ones. OK Cupid and Plenty of Fish were like, I think one of the first dating apps that I remember coming out in the aughts. But 70% is a pretty good percentage for success in marriages. So eHarmony looks like if you're for serious relationships, I would definitely suggest going on eHarmony. So Bumble and Hinge, for serious relationships, their platform and intent is higher relationship intent. So if you're on there for a relationship, Bumble and Hinge might be good for you. And we're going to talk about the CEOs and the people that run these companies. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because, energy is everything. And I believe that the upper management and how the company is run is very important when it comes to choosing a digital dating platform to use. And then Tinder, not a big surprise, is a lower long-term success rate. So if you're in for a serious relationship, Tinder is not your spot. It's got a very much lower percent. So eHarmony had that 70%. Tinder's going to have a lower percent. But if you're looking for a casual match, Tinder is your place. It's got a high match volume. So if you wanted to match with somebody, Tinder is the place to go. And so if you're looking for hookups, Tinder, Field, FEELD, and Grinder have high success casual connections. So I find it interesting that I don't even know if Tinder was like branded as a casual hookup. But whatever the algorithm is that they're using to connect their people into relationships, it's got a high match volume and a low long-term success. And I've heard of people going on Tinder and finding, their marriage partner on there and it being successful, but it's very rare. So don't be on Tinder. And so the studies suggest 40% of dating app users have formed a serious relationship through the apps. So despite all of the ghosting that's going on, despite all of the stories where there's like, I've been on dating apps forever and I'm just not finding anything. 40% of dating app users have formed a serious relationship through the apps. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it ended in marriage. Maybe it's just a long-term relationship, but there's a lot of basic manners missing in the digital space. Yeah, I did talk about that. I was talking about the lack of digital etiquette. There's not a lot of digital etiquette. Like we do need to sign off and if you're connecting with somebody and you're really into them, that you form a good connection and figure out how to meet face to face as soon as possible, just so that you're not wasting time. And you can do that digitally. You don't have to go to a coffee shop and have a coffee date. You can just meet somebody casually over a video chat. There's so many ways to do it. All right. And then one of the other studies, the metrics, is 20% of current marriages started online. So